Canvas, a podcast where we delve deep behind our favourite artists here at Adamo Gallery.
A deep dive.
Yeah.
I know.
I wonder who we've got here today.
Well, with our summer exhibition coming up, there could only be one person who we could get on the show today. So
JJ Adams.
Oh my God, JJ's going to love that. Well, our next guest needs little to no introduction. You may know him from chart-topping hits for his steps, such as 5, 6, 7, 8 and Tragedy. But did you know about his amazing talent for painting? So today on Behind the Canvas, we welcome H Watkins.
Hi, this is exciting.
Thank you so much for coming.
It's okay.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
You seem nervous, Rich. Why are you nervous?
Don't say that. I'm trying to keep this as one. I'm trying to keep this as one stream, so I don't have to edit it. And
No, we should definitely keep this in. Rich is starstruck. That's what it is, Ian.
Okay. I don't know why.
I'll start again. Yeah. So a lot of our clients didn't even know that you were Welsh or that you live locally. Or can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing in Wales and what art meant to you as a kid?
Do you know what? I take that as a compliment to start, because I love that my art speaks for itself rather than relying on my past job.
Yeah.
It's still my current job, but most people would know me as, 1/5 of steps. But people don't really have an idea that this is one of my passions as well. And it's always been a passion. As far back as I can remember, when my gran gave me a little watercolour set, and I would copy Turner paintings. These are my earliest memories when I was maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And my passion for art and design and creativity, that really kind of bled through all of my life. But my life hit a crossroads when I auditioned for Steps, and I had to make a choice. So
Tough choice.
It wasn't a choice that, lasted me 20 years, but I'm finally back.
Yeah.
I put my dreams in a box on a shelf, and I always intended opening them again. And thanks to you, I'm doing it.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
It's true.
So obviously you just mentioned your gran about kind of pushing you with your passions for artwork. Was that kind of like your first art experience growing up, or did you kind of go to museums or paint a lot when you were a kid? What kind of opened that door for you?
I'd always been creative.
Yeah.
And I was never sporty or academic. I was always, be engrossed in... Do you remember, I don't know if you're old enough for this, but do you remember Tony Hart?
No.
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So Tony Hart, it was basically an art show.
Yeah.
I think it was on the
Heartbeat,
BBC.
it was called.
Yeah, that was later on.
Oh, was that?
But Tony Hart had his own show, and he used to teach you how to draw every week. And back then, you were very limited to channels. There was no internet. There was no, TikTok. There were literally 3 channels.
It wasn't even a Channel 4 back then.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. There wasn't. There was just on BBC One. After I came home from school, he would teach you how to paint, and you could send your drawings in to be part of his gallery.
Yeah.
And I did numerous times. I sent my work in, and I never got picked for the gallery.
Oh, no.
Never. I'm sure it was, you had to be in there.
Yeah.
You had to be like a daughter of a
Yeah, I was going to say, someone who was part of the crew.
Exactly. Yeah, so there was always an in, and I never had the in. But that was my experience of drawing and being creative. It was Tony Hart.
So you mentioned that you were going to go to art college. Mm-hmm. Did you? What was your plan at that point then? When you applied for that, did you see yourself having a career in art, or did you?
I had 2 loves in my life. I had performing and being creative, and I dipped my toe in the performing waters. So I'd done lots of amateur dramatics, and I knew I wanted to be on the stage, and I knew I wanted to paint and be creative. So my idea back then was to kind of combine the 2, because I was too scared to go on the stage and I was too scared to be an artist. So I wanted to study set design.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I was going. I was designing sets for productions and stage shows in my head, not professionally.
Yeah.
And then the audition came up for Steps, and I went to London. So they advertised the stage, and my dreams of being an artist got put on hold. And And
Steps happened.
That happened, yeah. But I was still, even though I wasn't painting, I got to be creative, throughout my career. So whether it be with helping with the treatment for a video, designing a look for a video, all of our costumes.
Yeah.
Those really bad costumes were all our own work.
Hey, some of them are iconic.
Yeah, but for what reason? I don't know.
They've lodged a place in lots of people's minds.
They have, but we had nobody to blame for those outfits but ourselves.
Just blame it on 90s and early 2000s. It's fine.
I will, yeah, and they live in the 90s and shouldn't be wrong.
They'll come back round.
No, it's really bad. It's really bad. But still, to this day, we're still making music. We are, making videos and albums, and all of the artwork, all of the creative concept still comes from us. Yeah. So even though I'm painting now, that's where we got to really enjoy, working out set lists for our arena tours, or working on a brief for our creative director, or our costumes. So it's it's very much our baby.
Oh, so you got quite a lot of creative control then.
Everything is, we have complete creative control,
so
because it's our baby. You know, a lot of bands back in the 90s, they kind of bowed down to record companies and they were their bosses. But we got signed on a one single deal and nobody expected us to have any life after that.
No way.
But and then 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of became this monster that nobody could stop. We went in the charts and then we kind of went back down, then we hung around, we went back up. So and I think it still holds the record for the longest run in the charts that never made top 10.
You're joking?
Yeah. So we were just literally there for months and months and months.
I remember. I mean, I can't say I was
didn't
probably...
even know it didn't make the top 10. I thought it was like...
No, it didn't. I think it peaked at 14.
Was that the first single though?
That's the first single, yeah. But back then, a lot of bands had, juggernauts behind them, like, massive... major labels. They had stylists and choreographers and managers and assistants, spending literally money left, right and centre. But we had the same outfit for the whole campaign. I think when we did Top of the Pops, our first Top of the Pops, they opened their purse and give us an extra outfit, one extra
splash
outfit.
it out.
Yeah, exactly. But we learned a lot from that because we were signed on a one single deal and they were very frugal with us. We learned to translate that when we signed our major record deal to be very savvy and question every penny that came in and out. We questioned every video budget, who's paying for that car, how much is that makeup artist. We won't have those pair of jeans because we can have the same one but cheaper.
It's made you more resourceful, really, then.
Very much so.
Oh, you'd imagine that you just had everything thrown, like you said, with
well, we could have, but we weren't babies. We'd had life experience, not much. But we'd been out in the big wide world, whereas a lot of our peers were much younger and signed with £1 million record deals, and they didn't really know. But they definitely knew when they got their royalty statement back.
Oh God, that's when they got burned. So I really love that you could still be creative whilst in Steps. But my question is for you, what took you so long to exhibit your work? Obviously, you said you were creative with Steps and you've always had this passion for artwork. What took you so long?
I guess it's a mixture of things. Confidence as well, owning what you can do, and also being ready. I'd dipped in and out of painting and being creative, and I really enjoyed where it was going, but then I would go off on tour, or I would have children, or all of those things, and it kind of killed my creative flow. But I've had time now to really fine tune, and I'm still learning. Of course, everybody's still learning, but I really enjoy my process and I enjoy the final product as well. I'm really proud to see my work on a gallery wall, because you're an artist, and it's a fine line between walking away from a painting and knowing it's done and overpainting and destroying it.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, we all do it.
Soph does this thing with me where she'll see a painting and she'll come around my studio and she'll see it.
I'll be like, wow, that looks amazing.
I'll work another week and a half on it. She'll come back and I'll say, what do you think? She'll say, looks the same. And I'm thinking, I've just spent like 10 days doing that. And it apparently looks exactly the
I
same.
literally have
I need to know when
to
to put
frog
down.
march him out of the room and go,
It's done now.
it's done now,
Leave
stop
it.
it, leave it alone.
Yeah, this is not financially viable at the moment. You're kind of...
And I'll send pictures to my fella Tom, and he'll go, "Oh, that's great, babe," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't like that," And then I'll put the kids to bed, and my studio's where I live, so I can put the kids to bed, and I'll say to Tom, "I'm just gonna go and paint," and then like 2 hours later, I'm still there going,
Covered in paint.
Yeah, I am literally covered in paint because my process is messy. Yours is quite intricate and
Yeah, but it's
deliberate,
getting more
right?
messy. It's getting. I'm
You haven't seen
enjoying.
the state of his studio.
Oh,
Yeah,
same.
I'm pushing it out there now. I'm getting a bit more, trying to pull away from the detail and get a bit more. Yeah.
I like it when you can see emotion and
Yeah.
movement, and it feels like you're in the painting rather than. It doesn't interest me when a painting is beautiful. I respect the talent, but something that's beautifully drawn and looks exactly like it should be. You could see that in real life. I want emotion. I want
It's something
flair.
personally. It's something that's taken me a long time to learn. Like the art that I like is the more expressive and the emotions of.
What do you like?
Flip the script. I mean,
That's right, but I'm interested.
I like painters that are traditional oil painters, but they're a lot more expressive. So I'm starting to push myself into that, to do that now and not get bogged down in the details. So I like kind of Jeremy Mann. Do you know Jeremy Mann?
I don't know.
So he's a...
You'd actually quite like his work, I feel.
He does cityscapes. He's just two different things. He just cityscapes and then he does figurative stuff like I do, but it's very expressive, isn't it? It's very like, there is a little bit of detail around the faces, but the rest of it's just... There's a lot of emotion and movement in his work, and when he paints, there's a lot of movement there, and I love that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I've always been kind of bogged down in the detail of it, that kind of thing that's in my head, saying it's got to be good, and it's taken me. I'm still doing it now. Trying to push myself out of that.
Take pieces of those artists and go, okay, I'd love to inject that into my work, or because your work is very
definitely, you can't help
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very it's planned, it's meticulous.
I plan it out before I do a photo shoot, and it's all pretty much.
See, I don't.
No, I wish I could be more like
opposite.
that. Yeah, I wish I could be more like that because I enjoy that a hell of a lot more. When I'm painting something that like from a photograph, I hate it, don't I? And I find it really frustrating and stifling.
But you can say, I'll go on location and I will take pictures and of unusual kind of situations as well. So people will use a focal point, like a mountain, but I love the blades of grass. I focus on that, and then that can become blurry in the background.
Yeah.
So there's people see things differently and inject themselves into their work in different ways.
Yeah. Because there's like a spontaneity more to your work, I find.
Yeah.
And then that's reflective of like the gestural movements, the kind of brush strokes, the texture in it as well.
There is, and the way I paint, I like to paint emotionally as well. I understand that people sometimes like to see themselves in a painting, so they will relate to, they had their first kiss at Ogmore by Sea, or their favourite walk is at Southern Down. So I understand they want to recognise, but for me there has to be emotion. There has to be something else there. Otherwise, it just becomes paint on a canvas. Yeah,
and you don't have that connection to it then, do you?
Exactly. And I feel like I put a lot of myself into my work. It's sometimes it's hard to let work go that you're really proud of, but I feel super proud that, somebody has chosen my work to be part of their lives, and I have pride of place, in their living room, or, something that's special to them.
How do you feel now knowing that there's so many people that have your work in their homes and they have those special connections to those places, like you've said?
Super proud. So unbelievably proud. And what I love now is that my children are old enough to know what I do as well. I mean, they know what steps is.
Yeah.
They think they know what steps is, but they also, I was talking to them the other day, and I was like, Daddy's got to go to work, and he says to Radio Wales. I said, no, not to Radio Wales. To steps, not to steps. Oh, you're an artist, aren't you? And I was like, yes, I am.
I love that.
So they know that Daddy paints as well, which is lovely.
Is that something that's important for you to sort of show them? Like, them being creative something that's important to you, or you just let them develop their own?
I want them
interests
to enjoy and indulge and throw themselves into everything, and then whatever they enjoy, they can carry on enjoying. So I would love. I think they both show flair
for
being creative. They're both in their own special way. But art is personal. And if I can help that along the way. I was painting in the studio, and they were like, "Oh, that's how you do flowers, Daddy." So, it's lovely.
Can you imagine you setting up little easels next to you and both of them could be painting?
I did that in lockdown.
Did you?
It was carnage.
Was there just paint everywhere?
No, they were younger anyway, and they just wanted to, just like
make a mess.
Paint each other.
Yeah, and eat and drink paint,
I've always been very interested in whether it's nature or nurture with art, because I always get asked that question as well, whether my parents were good at art but they're not really. Like my granddad was quite artistic, but then is there anyone in your family that are creative and artistic that you think it's come from, or do you think it is like a...
My uncle Fred was a painter. So
was he?
My granddad's brother, and he's passed many years, but he used to do oil paintings, so landscapes. So I think that's where that lineage came from.
Yeah, it's interesting whether it is or whether it's, because I think that there's a little bit of that, the nature, but I think it's mainly nurture, isn't it? It's mainly...
I think it's a bit of both. You can't teach flair and passion and individuality, but you can nurture talent.
Yeah, true.
I love that.
I shut you up, didn't I?
Yeah.
Silenced him completely.
I find it very interesting. So I just wanted to get your take on it, and it's good.
Yeah, but it's almost like you can't teach someone to perform. You could have the essence there, and then you
the pizzazz,
train. You learn your craft.
Yeah,
and I'm still learning my craft as an artist, and the relationship between myself, a paintbrush, paint, canvas, texture, emotion. There's all these things that makes an individual artist.
I think if you stop learning, then there's no point anymore. It's all about learning, and I think that the creative process is all about learning something new. And if you stop learning something, then you're not really being that creative anymore, are you? You're just stuck in a...
that's I love. So the internet is, it's an incredible tool now for having access to new emerging artists. Artists that are masters and the classics. And on my art Instagram page, I literally just follow artists. So when my feed comes up in the morning, I literally am inspired, by colour, by landscape, by water, by sculpture. It feels like a really positive, creative way to start the day. And that's what I love about my Instagram page.
It's good for the soul, isn't it, though, art? You look at art and you get something from it that you can't get from anything else.
Yeah, I agree. And, sometimes it's you have an immediate connection. Sometimes your love for a painting will, grow.
Yeah, definitely. And intensify almost as well.
Yeah. And, artists paint in different ways for different reasons. I have artists that I have loved for years. Some people may have not even heard of them. So have you heard of Cy Twombly?
Yes.
So there you go. So you'll probably see a lot of Cy in my work.
Yeah.
Maurice Cockrell is another Welsh artist, and I've got a Maurice Cockrell, and he is landscape based.
Lovely.
Hi.
That's what happens when you record in the gallery. Right?
So Maurice Cockrell, I love. He does landscapes, and he ended up literally just closing his eyes and splattering paint with complete emotion. And I've got one of his pieces, Peter Prendergast, as well. And there's more contemporary artists like Beth Fletcher. And one I adore is Chloe Holt.
Okay.
Amazing. Just go and check out Chloe Holt. Just dreamy. So there are old masters and contemporary artists that I get inspired by, and I put a lot into my work.
No, now that you've said those artists, you can definitely see the inspiration behind some of the pieces as well, like the way that you manipulate the paint, the way that the brushstrokes go. It kind of all slots together now a little bit more. It's just really nice.
I've revealed my secrets.
There are secrets.
We're going to have everyone Googling all these artists now.
But that's a good thing. Art is for everybody.
Yeah.
And I can't paint like Beth Fletcher or Chloe Holt, and they can't paint like me. You know,
Yeah.
we all put ourselves into our work.
Yeah. So tell us what's involved in a day at the studio.
Oh, it'll depend on how much time I've got for a start, because I'll paint around the schoolroom. So I tend to work fast.
Yeah.
So I hate oils for that reason.
I'm jealous of the fact that being able to work fast, because it takes me weeks to.
Takes weeks.
Hate oil. And when I tried oil paints years and years ago, I would put a medium in there for a fast dry medium.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
I cannot do oils. So I am literally there with, so I'll have my canvas. Sometimes I'll have 3 canvases prepped, and I will be there with my heat gun. So I will be, I actually go, I will in succession, paint, dry. Another layer, dry. I'll put some impasto, I'll do textured, I'll paint over that. Dry. I'll go and have coffee, and I'll start again. So it's very much a spontaneous process.
Yeah.
Because I love layering my work. I love when images bleed through and create, you know, space and time and atmosphere. I feel like my work has a very spiritual element, you know, an ethereal element, because there's lots of, you know, underlying layers.
I've had clients say that to me, that your work has this ethereal kind of wistful element to it.
That's
and
good.
They like to see what's kind of beneath the surface. And I think what's lovely as well is we like to play around with the lighting a lot when we're exhibiting your work, because when you do dim the lighting, it just comes alive. You see so many more colours interacting with each other. You see horizon lines appear. You see depth and shadow. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
I use a lot of iridescent paint in my work.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you look at my work from different angles, it
You
becomes...
can see that here in this one here.
Yeah.
That sold today, this
know.
morning. But yeah, you can see it. Yeah. And it comes alive when you put it under the lighting. You put it in different lighting. It's
A
brilliant.
lot of people's work, it doesn't justify the painting when you see it, you know, on a website
Never,
or an Instagram
ever
post.
justifies
Yeah.
it, does it?
Yeah, so, you know, I love looking at work, you know, from different angles, different lights, you know, but here, my work, because it's textural and there's lots of layers to it, you need to see it in the flesh.
Definitely. Wholeheartedly agree.
Personally, when I first found out that you're an artist, I didn't think that this would be what you would do. I kind of thought maybe, you know, pop art, something very bright, camp, you know, more reflective of the H from Steps sort of character.
Do you know what? I think a lot of people say that about my work. They would expect something different.
Yeah.
You know, they would expect something maybe graffiti or pop art or really colourful.
Yeah,
Whereas my work has a really dark undertone.
it does. That's what I was going to. Is that part of your personality? Is that something that you've sort of not been able to express over the years because you've been known for this very colourful character?
I don't know where you were going with that. It's, you know, it's something it's puzzled me as well, you know, because I have no intentions on painting a certain way or having a style.
Yeah.
This is what's
It just
in me
happened.
and this is what comes out. Yeah, but there is a very dark element to my work. You know, I have played this persona for, you know, in steps and character, I guess, for many, many years.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
No, it's fine. But, you know, we've all fallen into different roles
Yeah.
in steps, you know, and when we're together, this chemistry is just magical, you know, like, and I know it's magical because we have lasted for decades.
Yeah.
You know, it's not forced anymore. We are more than colleagues, we're family. But my public perception is very different to me as a person. You know, I'm quite a loner. I like my own company. I'm a bit of a hermit. I will lock myself away for a week if I could and paint.
Yeah.
You know, and this is, you know, the work that I produce. So it's not all happy and clappy and pop art. You know, it's a little darker.
I love that. And that adds to the mystery of the pieces as well.
Good.
Yeah, I love that. So a lot of our clients, they're kind of mesmerised by the texture within your work. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How you achieve that, what you do?
I paint on location sometimes, depending on the weather.
Yeah.
We live in Wales. But I will also take my sketchbook. I'll work from my phone as well, take lots of images. But where I paint, I will take a little piece of earth or gravel or rock, and I will mix that into my paint. And then the landscape becomes part of the painting as well, and vice versa. Yeah. So I'm taking a little bit of, where I paint, and I put my heart and my soul and the landscape back into the work.
I think that's really impressive as well, because that makes the work organic, and it then lends back to your first collection, which was obviously called Hiraeth. Mm-hmm. So it's all about the beauty of Wales and the beauty of the Welsh landscape.
Also a longing.
Yeah.
I always knew that I would come back to Wales. I always knew I wanted a family, and I wanted to settle and grow up where my parents and my grandparents grew up. So it feels like it's come full circle. It feels like I've come home, which is what Hiraeth means. It's a longing, a belonging.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you ever paint outside? Do you go on location and paint?
Sometimes, but the way I work, like I said earlier, is very spontaneous, and I love my heat gun.
Yeah.
So I can't,
you can't take it with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a generator now.
Yeah.
No, why don't you get like a little blowtorchy kind of?
No, I do have a
gizmo.
blowtorch. I've played around with encaustic wax.
Ooh.
And it's something I'm working on as well, to incorporate encaustic work into my landscapes. Texture.
That would be amazing.
I've done it in the past, but it's a very different medium and a different prep. You can't put it on canvas.
So what is that exactly? Explain that process.
Encaustic wax is a very traditional method of trapping ink and paint in between layers of wax, and it's made with wax, beeswax, and resin. And there's a formula where you mix it together. I do mine pre-made because it's really hard. But you use it on wood, because you have to obviously heat it, paint over it, seal it. So
time process.
Yes, you can't use it on canvas, but I'm working on it on pieces of ply now.
So do you have a particular favourite spot that you love to paint, or somewhere that you just can't help but revisit? I
live in the Vale of Glamorgan, and I'm spoilt for choice. It's it's so diverse, the landscape. But one of my favourite places, and it changes, the time of day, season, weather. I love Southern Down.
Oh,
that bit. It's just incredible, and it becomes even more beautiful when the weather's bad there.
Yeah.
But that's hard to paint in. I paint in literally my canvas.
Do you not have a little
away.
anorak and you can paint with that?
No. Thanks for that. No. But I'm massively inspired on location, but I take that back to my studio.
Yeah, so I've noticed you do a lot of like meadow style pieces, rapeseed fields. What happens with those? Do you go out on location for that?
If you have travelled through the Vale of Glamorgan in the spring and the summer, it's just incredible, the sights, because they have fields and fields upon fields of rapeseed flowers. Yeah. And it's just beautiful, and I get massively inspired by that.
They look so pretty though, especially, I really like, obviously it's hard to see on a podcast, but your more kind of expressive ones where you've got paint flickered all over the canvas. And I think that's so evocative of how the rapeseed blows in the wind, how it's in the field. So I think you've captured that perfectly as well.
Thanks, Soph.
You're welcome, hun. You're welcome.
Jesus.
So moving on to something that's slightly a bit different. We really love and admire your activism for equality. You're very vocal, and we really, really love that. Can you ever see this crossing into your artwork, or them two merging together?
I've become more vocal since I've become a dad.
Yeah.
I want to be a dad that my kids are proud of. I want to be the change that I want to see. And I think if you have a platform that can do good, then you should use it in that way. I vowed that I would use my socials and my gravitas as a gay man. Yeah. I would channel that in the right way and, make choices and educate people and have an awareness that I never had, growing up. The world has changed a lot. I never had any gay role models when I was growing up, or any visibility or diversity. The world has changed, but I think people need to be more vocal and stand up and fight for what's right.
It's changed, but not enough, isn't it? Really, still.
But it takes
still
people to change that,
Mm.
and unless people step up, loud and proud, then we stop. We don't move forward.
Yeah, you're a go-doer rather than a do-gooder. That's what I like.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've never been one to sit on my bum and just let it come to me. I've always, worked hard. I've grafted. I've always been. If I do something, it's all or nothing. I'm 100% passionate about that.
So we've got a show coming up next week, next Friday, the 14th, and hopefully you're going to be here.
I will. It's in my diary, so you're welcome.
You're going to join us with that, with the other 4 people.
I am. But you know what? I'm actually really excited.
Yeah.
We did a little teaser earlier on in the year, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that was a part of the Hiraeth collection.
Yeah.
And this is a continuation of that. So it's my summer body of work. And I'm a little bit nervous as well.
Why?
Well, just because I'm kind of unleashing my work.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and you're automatically kind of criticised, and people have a certain idea of your persona.
Yeah.
People don't realise that I'm an artist and I have work that doesn't match my persona.
Yeah.
So
And there's nothing to hide behind this as well.
No.
You're just there, exposed.
And you're using your
It's you.
name as well, because a lot of artists don't actually use their name. Mm-hmm. They use like alter ego or a
a
different
pseudonym.
persona. Yeah.
But I feel like Ian H Watkins is an artist.
Yeah.
And H from Steps is a music artist.
Yeah.
So they are the same person, but very, very different parts of me.
Yeah. I love that. So is there anything that you're massively inspired by in this new summer edition of Hiraeth?
I'm always inspired by, the world around me, but specifically, I mean Wales.
Yeah.
I've said, that I adore our countryside. I love how diverse it is. I love going to the beach and setting up my easel and feeling like I am part of the landscape, and then I bring the landscape into my work. So it's kind of a very meditative. It's a very meditative process for me. It's where I lose myself. It's my safe place.
And then you're unleashing it to the whole wide world.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds dramatic, doesn't it? Unleashing it, but I am previewing it, let's say. Previewing.
Yeah, so if you would like to come and see Ian's work, we are launching his summer exhibition in Adamo Gallery on Friday the 14th of July. Hopefully he'll come along. I mean, he said we're penciled in.
Yeah.
But we'll have the entire gallery filled with his beautiful paintings. We've seen a few, haven't we? Seen a few sneak peeks, and there are 1 or 2 that I'm obsessed with.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, if you'd like to come along, make sure you RSVP by getting in contact with us today. Thank you again so much for coming onto our little podcast.
You're welcome. You came across really well there, Rich. Well done.
Thanks.